The chrome door of Viridian Dynamics' executive suite hissed shut behind Elena Rostova like a tomb ceiling. Inside, the air vibrated with the CEO's final, damning verdict still ringing in her ears. Effective immediately, Elena Rostova, you are terminated for gross misconduct and breach of fiduciary duty. The sterile room, all glass and cold steel, blurred. Across the vast polished table sat Marcus Thorne, her mentor, his face a sculpted mask of profound disappointment. But beneath it, Elena saw the glint of triumph. He had done this, stolen her revolutionary market prediction algorithm, Prometheus, her life work, fed it to the board as his own genius, and meticulously painted her as the greedy, treacherous thief. Security materialized instantly, two impassive sentinels flanking her. The walk through the buzzing hive of Viridian was a gauntlet. Whispers sliced the air. Always knew she was too ambitious. Heard she siphoned millions to offshore accounts. At the gleaming lobby turnstile, her security badge was ripped away, the plastic snapping with finality. Outside, the city's roar was a physical thing, swallowing her whole. Rain lashed down, mingling with the furious, humiliated tears scalding her cheeks. In her white-knuckled fist, hidden until the last possible second, was a crumpled note she'd slipped into Marcus's jacket pocket as security closed in. Marcus, enjoy your hollow victory. It burns brightest just before it consumes you. I will destroy you. E. 5 years vanished in that icy downpour. 5 years of meticulous erasure. Elena Rostova ceased to exist, wiped from databases, scrubbed from memories. In her place emerged Eleanor Vance, forged in the ruthless crucible of Viridian's most feared rival, Omnicorp. She became a ghost, studying Marcus Thorne's every move, his insatiable greed, his predictable arrogance, the rotting skeletons he'd buried deep. Tonight, under the blinding, artificial stars of the Omnicorp charity gala, Eleanor adjusted the strap of her devastatingly expensive black gown, a sleek predator draped in silk. Her prey stood radiant across the opulent room, Marcus Thorne, holding court, basking in the glow of his stolen empire. A waiter offered champagne. She took a flute, the cool glass a stark contrast to the furnace in her gut. Her gaze, steady and cold as Arctic ice, locked onto Marcus. Confusion flickered across his face, then dawning uncertain recognition. This elegant stranger? Eleanor offered a glacial smile, raising her glass in a silent, deadly salute. Her voice, when she drifted close enough, was velvet wrapped around steel. Mr. Thorne, an unexpected pleasure. Eleanor Vance, Omnicorp Strategic Acquisitions. We've observed Viridian's aggressive maneuvers with considerable interest. Marcus puffed his chest, utterly blind to the viper. Flattery is the breakfast of champions, Miss Vance. Aggression, merely the necessary dialect of winners. Indeed, Eleanor murmured, her smile never reaching her frozen eyes. Fluency is paramount. I find I speak it rather well. She excused herself, melting into the shimmering crowd, leaving Marcus intrigued, off balance. Phase 1. Access. Secured. Inside her discreet clutch, a sleek, untraceable burner phone vibrated once. A single coded message. Project Phoenix, green light. Eleanor slipped onto a deserted balcony. The city sprawled below like a conquered kingdom awaiting her command. She whispered into the night, the ghost of Elena Rostova stepping into the light. The fire starts now, Marcus, and I brought the gasoline. Her baptism at Omnicorp began Monday. Assigned to evaluate a failing logistics subsidiary, coincidentally, Viridian's next publicized takeover target. Eleanor meticulously crafted her report. It was subtle sabotage disguised as cold analysis. She unearthed hidden environmental liabilities, inflated projected integration costs through pessimistic assumptions, subtly undermined the core value until it resembled a sinking ship. She presented a version to Omnicorp's CEO Richard Kane, but strategically leaked a sanitized, even more damning summary to a Viridian contact she knew reported directly to Marcus. His reaction was pure thorn. Seeing Omnicorp apparently undervaluing his prize, his competitive fury ignited. He doubled down, authorizing a bid so astronomically high it stunned the industry. Kane was baffled, but delighted. "Vance, how did you make Thorne bite so deep? This bid is financial suicide." Eleanor offered a modest shrug. "Viridian thrives on hubris, sir. We merely presented facts. His greed did the rest." Kane clapped her shoulder. "Brilliant. Keep feeding me insights into that shark's mind." As he walked away, Eleanor's lips curved in a predator's smile. Marcus had swallowed the first poisoned pill, believing it was his own brilliance. Later, isolated at her secure terminal, she pulled up schematics of Viridian's crown jewel, Project Aegis, their flagship data center. Thorne's monument to invincibility. Flawless security, perfect redundancy. On paper. Elena Rostova knew the truth. She knew the architect, pressured by Marcus's impossible deadlines and budget cuts, had bypassed critical safety protocols on the secondary cooling system. Inspectors had been bribed, a catastrophic vulnerability known only to a ghost. Eleanor needed proof. Late that night, in the sterile hum of the server room, she bypassed internal logs, routing her connection through multiple digital ghosts. She contacted Wraith, a disgruntled ex-Viridian engineer she'd cultivated. "Package status," she typed. "Location confirmed. Thermal scans show anomalies matching your intel. Access point viable. Half payment on visual proof," came the reply. "Half now. Remaining upon verified sensor data from Cooling Junction Beta 7. An untraceable crypto transfer vanished into the digital void. Done. Delivery in 72 hours. Eleanor leaned back, the server hum her symphony. She pictured Marcus boasting about Aegis's impenetrability. Soon, she'd hold the key to its meltdown. Literally. Opportunity arrived unexpectedly. Marcus Thorne appeared at Omnicorp for a goodwill tour, thinly veiled espionage. Kane, savoring the irony, assigned Eleanor as his escort. Marcus was charm incarnate, probing relentlessly. "Your R&D seems focused, Miss Vance. Almost predictable." Eleanor matched his smile. "Predictability is a liability, Mr. Thorne. At Omnicorp, we prefer calculated disruption." She steered him past Lab 7, home to Kane's secret AI project, Athena. Thorne's gaze lingered a fraction too long. Promising. True innovation requires the risk Viridian embraces. "Risk without control is folly," Eleanor countered, steering him away. "Our disruptions serve strategy." Later, in Kane's office, she amplified Thorne's interest. "He seemed particularly fixated on Lab 7, sir, assessing it." Kane frowned. "Thorne's a circling shark. Double Athena security. And Vance, feed him crumbs. Keep him distracted." Eleanor nodded. Marcus was fixated on the decoy while she mined his foundations. The encrypted package arrived, grainy thermal images of Aegis's basement showing abnormal heat along the compromised cooling lines. Sensor logs confirmed dangerous pressure fluctuations. Proof. Concrete evidence of Thorne's fatal hubris. Eleanor stored it in her digital vault. Her weapon was ready. Now, the perfect moment. Viridian announced a colossal merger with Kronos AG, Thorne's crowning glory. Stock soared, media thawed. Marcus was untouchable. Or so he thought. Eleanor, digging deep, found the flaw. Buried in the merger prospectus, an ambiguously worded clause left Viridian liable for Kronos's hidden debt, obscured through offshore shelves. A financial landmine. Revealing it could crater Viridian's stock and kill the merger. She crafted an anonymized dossier detailing the liability, then sent it directly to Marcus from an untraceable ghost account. Subject: a flaw in the crown jewels. Your move, Marcus. Let him sweat. His response was swift
and fatal.
Desperate to plug the leak before the merger finalized, Marcus diverted massive funds from Project Aegis's security and contingency budget. He moved money through complex internal transfers, thinking himself clever. He didn't know Eleanor had a dormant backdoor into Viridian's financial systems, implanted years ago by Elena. She saw every diverted dollar. He was bleeding Aegis dry to cover his gamble. The monument's defenses crumbled by his own hand. Eleanor smiled coldly. Marcus is gathering the kindling for his own pyre. The stage was set. All she needed was the spark. The neglected, compromised cooling system in Aegis was a pressure cooker. One untraceable command. The city glittered below her Omnicorp penthouse. Elena Rostova was gone. Eleanor Vance pulled the strings. Marcus danced obliviously on crumbling ground. She picked up her encrypted satellite phone. It's time. Initiate Phase Omega. Target, Project Aegis. Let it burn. The command, relayed through layers of anonymized proxies, was a digital whisper in the vast machine hum of Project Aegis. It targeted the already stressed secondary cooling system's control module, specifically the safety override protocols Wraith's data had pinpointed. It didn't trigger an immediate catastrophe. That would be too crude, too traceable. Instead, it introduced a subtle, escalating malfunction, a slow, insidious creep in the coolant pressure regulators, mimicking the intermittent failures the compromised system was already prone to. It would buy time, create plausible deniability. The real fireworks would come later, when the strain became critical. Eleanor monitored the initial reports remotely, her expression impassive. A minor pressure fluctuation alert blinked on a secondary Aegis maintenance console, quickly dismissed by an overworked technician as another gremlin in the new system. Phase Omega was underway. Marcus, meanwhile, was drowning in the fallout of the anonymous dossier. Panic, a rare visitor to his meticulously controlled world, gnawed at him. The hidden Chronos debt was real, a sword of Damocles hanging over his empire. He'd thrown good money after bad, trying to bury it deeper, pulling funds from everywhere, including Aegis. The merger signing was days away. He couldn't afford a scandal. His paranoia fixated on Chronos negotiators, rival CEOs, even disgruntled board members. Eleanor Vance, the intriguing Omnicorp strategist, was the last person he suspected. In fact, he saw her as a potential asset, a window into Kane's operations. He requested a follow-up discussion over lunch, citing mutual interests. Eleanor accepted, the Viper entering the lion's den willingly. The restaurant was exclusive, all hushed tones and gleaming silver. Marcus oozed charm, but his eyes held a new tension. Mrs. Vance, Omnicorp's insights into the logistics sector were enlightening. Kane has a sharp weapon in you. Mr. Kane values strategic clarity, Eleanor replied smoothly, sipping mineral water. As do we at Viridian. Marcus leaned forward, lowering his voice. Clarity is scarce sometimes. Rumors swirl. Distractions. Tell me, does Kane ever speak of Chronos, of their stability? Eleanor feigned mild surprise. Chronos? A competitor, certainly. Stability? Their public filings seem robust. Why do you ask? Marcus waved a dismissive hand, too quickly. Due diligence. Large mergers invite speculation. Nonsense, usually. He changed tack. Your background is impressive, Eleanor, yet somewhat opaque before Omnicorp. 5 years ago is a blank slate. A sliver of ice traced Eleanor's spine, but her smile remained serene. Privacy is a luxury, Mr. Thorne. I prefer my work speaks for me.
My past is unremarkable. Building skills, finding the right opportunity. Omnicorp provided that platform. She turned the tables. Viridian seems poised for unparalleled heights with Chronos, a legacy-defining moment. Marcus puffed up, momentarily distracted by the flattery. Indeed, it's about vision, Eleanor, seeing the future and seizing it. Seizing it, Eleanor echoed, her gaze steady. Sometimes what we seize has hidden thorns. Due diligence is paramount, as you say. Her words, innocuous on the surface, landed like a stone in Marcus's gut. Was she hinting at the debt? Impossible. He masked his unease with forced joviality. The lunch ended with vague promises of future collaboration. Eleanor left, knowing she'd deepened his paranoia. He was rattled, looking for threats in the wrong places. Back at Omnicorp, Keynes summoned her. "Thorns, Jumpy. Chrono steel hitting snags?" he asked, eyes sharp. Eleanor carefully planted the seed. "He seemed unusually focused on external threats, sir. Almost defensive. He probed about Kronos' stability, mentioned rumors. Perhaps he senses weakness on their side. An opportunity for us to reevaluate our own position." Keynes steeples his fingers. "Weakness, or is Thorn trying to deflect? Dig deeper, Vance. Find out what's truly making him sweat. If Kronos is vulnerable, I want to know before that merger ink dries." "Understood, sir." Eleanor nodded. Keynes' suspicion was now actively probing Thorn's flank, exactly where she wanted it. Meanwhile, the slow burn within Aegis continued. Another pressure alert. Then another. Maintenance logs started noting persistent regulator fluctuations in Sector 4 Beta, the location of the compromised secondary cooling loop. Engineers scheduled diagnostics for the weekend during low-load periods. Eleanor monitored it all. The tension was a live wire within Viridian. Marcus, frantic to secure the Kronos deal and plug the financial leak, made his next catastrophic mistake. He strong-armed Viridian's CFO into authorizing a short-term, high-interest loan from a notoriously ruthless private equity firm, using Aegis itself as partial collateral, a move kept off the official books. He believed it was a temporary bridge, covered by the imminent Kronos windfall. Eleanor's dormant backdoor flared to life, capturing the illicit transaction. Her breath hitched. This was beyond recklessness. It was fraud. Marcus wasn't just risking Aegis, he was mortgaging its corpse. She now had the lever to break him completely. But she waited. The Aegis meltdown needed to happen first, the physical symbol of his crumbling empire. The weekend arrived. The Aegis diagnostic began. Engineers, working remotely, initiated a controlled stress test on the secondary cooling loop in Sector 4 Beta. Eleanor watched through a compromised security feed Wraith had provided. The command she'd sent days earlier had done its work, subtly degrading the regulator's responsiveness. As the test increased the coolant flow, the pressure spiked erratically. Warning lights flashed on the engineer's screens. "Pressure exceeding tolerance in Beta 7 junction," one engineer called out over comms. "Regulators aren't responding adequately, initiating manual override." They tried, but the damage from years of neglect, the bypassed safeties, and Eleanor's targeted sabotage created a cascade failure. The manual override commands jammed. Pressure soared. Deep within the bowels of Aegis, a critical coolant line, fatigued by constant stress and poor maintenance, finally gave way. Not with a dramatic explosion, but with a terrifying high-pressure hiss that rapidly escalated into a violent geyser of super-cooled liquid. The deluge instantly drenched server racks, causing catastrophic short circuits. Arcs of blue-white electricity spider-webbed through the darkness. Smoke, thick and acrid, began billowing. Alarms that had been bleeding urgently now screamed in full-blown panic. "Containment breach in Sector 4 Beta, critical failure, primary systems engaging fail-safe overloaded, initiating emergency shutdown, all personnel evacuate." The shouts over the comms dissolved into static as the power fluctuations intensified. Lights flickered wildly across the massive data center before plunging sections into darkness, illuminated only by the hellish glow of electrical fires and emergency strobes. The monument to Marcus Thorne's invincibility was consuming itself from within. News of the catastrophic systems failure at Viridian's flagship Aegis data center
hit the financial wires like a bomb. Stock prices plummeted in pre-market trading. Marcus was in his penthouse, reviewing last-minute Kronos documents when his chief technology officer burst in, face ashen. "Marcus, Aegis, it's gone critical. Total meltdown in Sector 4 Beta. We're looking at a complete loss. Billions." Marcus felt the world tilt. How? The redundancies? The security? The secondary cooling failed catastrophically during a routine diagnostic. Safeties didn't engage. Initial reports, they're talking about fundamental design flaws, Marcus. Flaws we signed off on. The Kronos deal. It relied on Aegis' stability as a key asset. This was ruinous. Before Marcus could process the horror, his personal lawyer called, voice strained. "Marcus, we have a bigger problem. That short-term loan, the one against Aegis, the lenders saw the news. They're calling it in, immediately. Full amount plus penalties. They know Aegis is worthless collateral now." Marcus sank into his chair, cold dread washing over him. The anonymous dossier, the Aegis failure, the loan call, it was a coordinated attack. Someone was systematically dismantling him. His mind raced. Rivals, vengeful ex-employees. Elena Rostova's face, contorted with fury 5 years ago, flashed before him. That note, "I will destroy you." Impossible. She was gone, vanished. He'd made sure. As Viridian spiraled, Omnicorp's Richard Kane watched the carnage with grim satisfaction. He turned to Eleanor, standing calmly by his office window overlooking the city. "Thorne's finished. Kronos will bolt. His stock is worthless. And Aegis? A smoldering ruin." He paused, studying her. "You knew something was coming, didn't you? You're digging?" Eleanor kept her gaze on the horizon where Viridian Tower stood, now shadowed by disaster. "Thorne's hubris was his fatal flaw, sir. He built on sand. I merely observed the cracks widening." Kane nodded slowly, a new respect in his eyes. "Observant indeed, Vance. Very observant." The city buzzed with the news. Eleanor Vance, Omnicorp's rising star, was hailed for her uncanny foresight regarding Viridian's instability. She gave carefully curated interviews, deflecting credit, speaking of market dynamics and risk assessment. Inside, the ghost of Elena Rostova watched Marcus Thorne's empire burn, bankrupt, disgraced, facing criminal investigations for financial mismanagement and fraud related to the hidden loan. The Kronos deal was ashes. Viridian was picked apart by vultures. But Eleanor wasn't finished. Justice demanded a final reckoning. She tracked Marcus to a rented room in a decaying part of the city, a far cry from his penthouse. She didn't gloat. She simply appeared, a silent figure in the dim hallway light as he fumbled with his keys. He looked up, aged a decade in weeks. Recognition, then dawning, horrific comprehension flooded his face. "You," he breathed, the word thick with disbelief and terror. "Eleanor Vance, or—" "The name doesn't matter, Marcus," Elena said, her voice devoid of the fury he remembered, chillingly calm. "What matters is the fire. You felt its heat. You built the pyre with your lies, your theft, your greed. I merely lit the match." Marcus sagged against the door. "Elena, Save it," she cut him off, ice in her tone. "Your apologies are as worthless as Viridian's stock. Enjoy the ashes. They're all you have left." She turned to leave. "Why?" he choked out, desperate. "The algorithm, it was just business." Elena stopped. She looked back, her eyes like chips of obsidian reflecting the cheap hallway bulb. "No, Marcus. What you did to me, that was personal. This," she gestured vaguely towards the world containing his ruin, "this was just the inevitable consequence." She walked away, her footsteps echoing in the empty corridor, leaving Marcus Thorne alone in the crushing silence of his annihilation. The ghost had her vengeance. The corporate saboteur faded back into the shadows, her work complete. The city moved on, unaware of the intricate, burning fury that had toppled a king.